welcome to Epic Geek Out, the only show on the internet where we plug into Recall only to have the memories of hosting a famous internet podcast plugged into our minds. I'm your host, Rob.
And I'm your host, Chad. Happy 50th episode to us. Yay.
Love it.
We're talking about Total Recall today for our 50th episode, or the remake of the 1990 smash hit, I guess.
And then for our 51st episode, we're going to be taking a look back on our first 50 episodes, which I honestly didn't think it was going to get to this point. So just looking back and recapping some of the things we loved that we reviewed, maybe some of the things we hated. We're not sure exactly how that's going to go, but tune in on Thursday for numero 51.
As always, you can check out our website, www.epicgeekout.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/epicgeekout.
You could like it on Facebook.
Like us, yeah.
And you could follow us on Twitter at Epic Geek Out. And also, always please subscribe to our YouTube channel. So find the subscribe button that's somewhere near us and click on it.
Awesome. Let's get into Total Recall.
So we will be reviewing Total Recall. Basically, it is a remake, so if you know the old movie, it's pretty much the same thing with some minor changes. This one is kind of like iRobot, Minority Report, Inception mixed together is kind of how I took it. But basically, it's a story. It's this futuristic world. They have this place called Recall where they can implant memories in your head, and it's really a story you don't really know what's true or not. This version really didn't touch on that too much, but it stars Colin Farrell, Kate Beckinsale, Jessica Biel, Bryan Cranston, who is in every movie ever anymore. But just some history. I didn't see the original. Somehow I missed that and never saw it. You have seen the original, so just to see where we're coming from. So, Chad, what did you think of the movie?
All right, yeah, so I just recently rewatched it because when I first saw it, it was eons ago, and I did not remember.
And the three-breasted hooker is in both.
Yes,
so
she is.
Don't worry.
The original definitely is dated. The effects are dated, and it's funny because it actually won some awards for the effects back in the day, which isn't really back in the day. 1990 seems not that long ago, but it is 22 years ago. So, but the storyline definitely still holds up today. It's a fun ride. If you haven't seen any of them, I definitely say check either one out. As I'll say, it's definitely a really fun, interesting mind F. We'll say is the best way to describe it, and you're not quite sure what's going on, which is it's a fun ride. Kind of putting that aside, I don't want to spoil anything because that is part of the fun of the movie. But they did change some things, and the things they changed, I feel like I wasn't really upset about anything particularly, except for maybe a little bit of the Bryan Cranston character. The original was a lot different of type of a character, and I kind of saw his motives a little bit more clear in the original than this one. But it was definitely there, just a preference thing. But they definitely fleshed out the world a lot more. In the original with Arnold Schwarzenegger, kind of a goofy, more plot-driven than this one. There was a lot more action scenes, which got a little tired at points. There was a lot of chase sequences in this. The fighting was particularly good. I thought was the hand-to-hand combat, which there was a lot of, which was pretty cool. A lot of details that were thought out, which I appreciated. Some people might not like the look of the world. I thought it was interesting and kind of cool, something interesting to look at on this when it was on the screen. As far as the, because I don't want to compare it to the original. Yeah. As a standalone movie, it was fun. It was a summer blockbuster, I guess, in every sense of the word, action movie. It isn't getting the best of reviews, and I guess I can see that because there is a lot of parts that there's no plot really happening. It's just action. But it was a fun ride, and it's a good time. It's what I expected to see coming into a summer movie, and there's fun to be had. Colin Farrell did a good job, I felt, as that character. Definitely played it a little bit differently than the Arnold Schwarzenegger character. But overall, I thought it was good. I wasn't expecting much, I guess, because, it's a remake after all. But I was pleasantly surprised. So, decent.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's a mixed bag. I enjoyed it, but I think I whispered, a couple things to you, in the theater, this is just stupid. Why is this happening?
Exactly.
Every fight scene kind of seemed like a chase scene or led into a chase scene, and I think that they were kind of redundant in what they were. It was get no car moves, chase, fall out,
Jump from something.
crap like that. Yeah, a lot of jumping from things constantly. And I know this is like, I remember watching Face Off and being like, holy crap, they can't hit anyone. You know, these people are trained agents. They have these robot things that are trained, you know, robots normally don't make mistakes when they're shooting things or, you know, in these movies. But my God, about 1 billion bullets were shot in this movie, and, you know, they might get nicked once, or a character survives something in a crazy, you know, bombs going off, and they happen to survive, you know, and that annoys me because I think a lot of action movies nowadays, besides probably Expendables 2, which is coming out, they don't go that grandiose, or they explain how it can be that way. And so, you know, it can be, was it recall, was it not? And so, you know, there could be answers to that. But it just kind of took me out of the movie at points. The world was pretty cool. There was, I guess it needs kind of to be explained. There was, England is one of the only inhabitable places left, and then there's Australia, and so there's the United area of Britain, and then there's the colony, which they call it, and they both had drastic different looks to them, which I thought was cool, because you knew where they were at the different points, and it created kind of a class struggle situation going on, and just, I like that. The idea that they transported through what was called the Fall, right?
Yeah.
And which was just a tunnel with this great massive cylinder thing that carried thousands of people in it and just shot between the two places. So I thought they had some pretty cool ideas.
And that was one of the parts that was completely changed from the original, which I like the change. I kind of understand why they changed, because the original, obviously, they go to Mars. They wanted it to be a little bit more grounded, I think. But they definitely thought it out, and they had cool concepts behind it. Apparently, this is based more on this book that it was originally from. So I'm not sure if that part was from the book or what, because I haven't read the book. But
and it had some like little nods to the original that you know I didn't pick up. I picked up because just
you could tell.
The way they shot that scene was like, there's definitely something going on. It's obviously, you know, something like that. So, it's good. It's an action movie, and that's it. If you're expecting high drama or comedy or anything, you know, nothing. There really isn't any comedic moments in this, like in other action movies, you know, you've seen where, you know, there's a couple breaks. It really is action. A lot of them, the action scenes are chase sequences that then lead into a like restrained environment, like, and then, you know, things happen from there. So and I think it was a little redundant in the action, but enjoyable, and I like to see the character battle have his own inner battle, which I think was probably the most redeeming part of the movie. Of who is he? He just wants to find out who he is, and that was even started, that led him to go do recall. So.
And you kind of touched on it a little bit, but I feel like the original definitely put more emphasis on, is he in recall? Is this really his life? It kind of takes twists and turns that kind of makes you go, well, now I don't know what to believe. I think this didn't do that as well or as much. So that part of the ride was kind of lost a little bit in the action, which is one of my favorite parts about the other one, because it's such a cool, like, oh, like this is a cool concept, kind of like Inception, but like back before.
Exactly.
An idea. So it does drop that element. I feel like the end of the original kind of left you with a more definitive, like, one way or the other, like, is this? And this one kind of just made it seem more like the other way from the original. So I don't know. I don't want to spoil it, so if you're confused, I'm sorry. But but it definitely dropped that element a little bit more than I would have liked.
It did, and I think that's what could have, if that element was added and added well. I mean, it wasn't a short movie, but if they were able to add that element to it, that's what could have brought it up that notch from just being like a mundane summer action movie, which we've seen so many different elements of this movie in different things. But put together, visually stunning, you know,
except
the acting
the
wasn't terrible. Awful.
Terrible.
Lens flares when there were no
when
light.
they're in the middle of the earth where there's clearly no
like just add it in sometimes. I actually don't. I wish, you know, someone maybe in the comments can tell me what the whole point of them are, but like it is.
But there was like ports
ridiculous.
Where they had like streaks of lines across the screen different colors.
It's like J.J. Abrams' wet dream, this movie. They use it like 10 times more than he does. It's
it was
nuts.
Really bizarre and really distracting, and I was kind of irritated with that.
But
was. Everything else about the cinematography I did like.
Yeah.
That part was...
And the world was set up cool, how they integrated, like, Big Ben into, like, a new construction of the city and things like that. So I did enjoy that, but, you know, it is what it is. It's an action movie. I mean,
I say seek out the original if you can. It definitely... If you haven't seen it or you haven't seen it in a while, it definitely has that element. But I definitely appreciated this movie as well, and I think there was things to like about it. So,
well, I would like to end on this question: Beckinsale or Beale?
Oh, that's a tough one. I'd say Beale, but I know
Beckinsale. So call us, maybe.
Nice. Put your votes in the comments. Let's do that. All right, so that's Total Recall.
So it's that time of the episode where we like to give our thanks, our 50th episode anniversary thanks.
Woohoo.
Chad, oh, look at that excitement. What are you thankful for today?
So this weekend I just got to go on a fun birthday present. My birthday's coming up. My girlfriend purchased for me tickets to go see the Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark Broadway musical. Really awesome. I got to see what Spider-Man would look like in person, in real life, if he was swinging around, and let me tell you, it looks dangerous as hell. But
which the 10 actors that are still currently in the ER from that show also agree with you.
It was really cool seeing something like that we're totally into be put into a different form, a different media, I guess. And I had an enjoyable time. It definitely takes plot liberties that I was questioning at times, and I was like, I don't think the person who wrote this knows anything about Spider-Man beyond the Sam Raimi movies, and then added their own weird stuff in.
Damn.
Yeah, but it's still Spider-Man.
Yeah,
I think they tried to make it accessible to the most amount of people, so that's kind of what it was.
Which, you know, definitely it's been getting, I mean, it's the most expensive musical ever made, and then, you know, it is actually having people show up, which is good because it went through hell in getting made.
I think you should see it.
Oh, I mean, plan on it,
If everyone should see it. The sets are amazing. I mean, Spider-Man flies around.
It's a shame because they're probably not going to take it to tour because
of
so many,
they had to do so many modifications
to this theater.
Like they have like even seats taken out in parts to like land and stuff, and huge steel girders. But
that's cool.
Really cool. So that's my thanks this week.
Yeah. So I am thankful for a game early on when we first started. So this is a throwback to the early days of us doing it. You know, a whole half a year ago or whatever it was. We went to our local game store. Chad bought Settlers of Catan, which we still actually haven't tried yet. But I bought this little box full of these funny little cards called Munchkins. Now, it took us a little bit to get into the game because
I still don't think we're playing it right.
No, we are. I've seen people play it now. Tabletop, which is podcast Will Wheaton does, where they do it. I watched them play Munchkins with the creator of Munchkins, and we are playing it right, except that we're too nice and too helpful for each other, and it's really not how you're supposed to play. But we played Munchkins. We played it a couple times now, and I just really enjoy the game. It's completely different than anything we've ever played. The cards are funny, and once you get a grasp on it, it's just fun. So if you haven't played it, they have a shit ton of different versions of it. Which one were we playing again?
I think
the superhero one.
Yeah,
and then they have like zombies, all that stuff. You can combine decks. So it was a good time. Took a little to get used to and understand, but once we did, you know, very fun. So check that out.
Cool. So we'll be back on Thursday with a look back at 50 episodes of epicness. So make sure you tune in then. But thanks for watching this episode. We'll see you on Thursday.